Hey everybody, this is Becca Eberhardt, CEO at Maximum Lawyer, and today I am here in Scottsdale with Tyson, and we are gearing up for the Q1 Mastermind here, and today is Wednesday, so we're doing a batch recording of podcasts before the Mastermind, and we had a guest that had to cancel last minute, so we're going to do a little impromptu episode here now.
Yeah, it's exciting. I was really excited about that guest, but this is fun because I've not gotten you on camera like recording a podcast yet, right? At all?
I mean, back in the beginning, we did virtual.
Oh yeah, we did that a long time ago.
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely I had to almost kick you or drag you kicking and screaming to do this.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
I had other really great ideas.
You did.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the guest, she's not well. Well, she did the right thing, and but we'll be able to make that one up. But this is gonna be a good one. Your idea for this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's tell the people what it's about.
Okay, so recently we had a post that sparked some conversation within the guild and then also within the team at Maximum Layer 2. So I'm going to read what the initial post was that sparked this conversation, and then we can kind of dive into our thoughts on it. So this guild member said, "Does this happen to anyone else? I reach out to a vendor to build something, set something up for me. It could be a marketing campaign, a software build out, etc. And then he says, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z because here are my goals. Can you do this? And the vendor will say, sure, we can do it. Here's an estimate. He says, cool, here's the money. ... A month later, the vendor will demo the solution and he says, okay, but what about X, Y, and Z that I had mentioned before? The vendor says, yeah, our solutions can't do that. Not possible with our tech or the restrictions in place. And then he says he's stewing silently about spending time and money on something that doesn't do what he needed. And he says that this has happened a few times, and he ultimately usually just abandons what he's doing and what he had already paid for.
Yeah, and that had some interesting comments. I covered it on the Guild morning show last Saturday. I'm going to be a little nicer to the vendors that I mentioned in the Guild. I won't mention them here, but my frustration's the same because I've had frustrations with vendors. I mean, like paid tens of thousands of dollars up front and then not get the things that they say that they're going to give. Like you've had some experience like outside of the legal industry. Like, have you seen anything like this?
Not this often, no, which is what floors me. And when I first read this post, I did send you quite a few voice messages, and we had kind of talked back and forth.
Which I played on the Which are we going to do that for the listeners for this? This is great.
You know what? Why not? Actually, that might be better.
Okay.
Instead of me summarizing, we're gonna cut in my voice message into this so that you guys can hear my in the moment feelings. I was pretty riled up, and I genuinely care about our business owners in the Guild, and the fact that this is happening to multiple of them on multiple occasions. It's happened to you. I just think that that's not something that we should all stand for. And then now we're at a point where what can we do about it? We meaning Maximum Lawyer, but also as an industry in general. I don't think it's something that can continue, and we need to figure out how to fix that.
I don't know if we're going to be able to give them the what I did in the Guild where it had like some talking person with like bunch of emojis. It was great.
It wasn't me, but you were trying to imitate me.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yes.
And she kind of looked like you, which was what made it better.
It was great.
It was like she sort of looked like you.
Yes.
So that maybe we can give that to them too. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something better.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So what was funny is you were worked up.
It was.
Like really worked up.
Yeah.
And it was a barrage of voice memos.
Right.
But you had also brought up something, I don't know, 20 minutes ago from like our meeting notes. Which is funny because did you remember that?
I did.
Okay.
That's how much I actually care about this topic. And I think that it's that wrong. And I think that it comes up this often. So when I was thinking of this topic, I also remembered in the notes for future episodes, I had written this down, and this has to come from like over a year ago. So I do find it ironic how much this topic just keeps coming back up. And so these were just generalized notes. I had wrote that vendors and the products and customer service that they offer law firms, why does it seem so bad? What can we do about it? You had said, so this was on a team call and I had made notes on it. Tyson had said that law firm owners have to make the worst clients. And I had a instant reaction to your comment because I actually thought the complete opposite. And I told you and Jim, I had said that I had actually never seen vendors seem to put in so little effort to retain customers. And I believe that good customer service goes a long way. And I think that I see a lot in this industry, meaning vendors that serve law firm owners, trapping them into contracts as a way to create retention in their own business. And I think that we're at a time where retention is earned by providing exceptional products and services. And that's the only contract that should exist.
Sure. And I will say I might be wrong about it. I mean, I think from my perspective as a lawyer that we ask a bunch of questions. Like we also have like I just, and part of it is like, I imagine some lawyers being like, well, I'll just sue you. Like, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of a thing where we've got to be the type of client that, or customer that is like a little bit more demanding. It's got to be. And maybe I'm wrong about that.
Okay. So how is this working out then? You feel like you are a customer who is more demanding, and we're seeing our people get a lesser service.
Yeah.
How can both things be true at the same time?
Well, it could be. Here's the thing. I think what it is that I think, and you know what? Maybe we don't expect more. Maybe we just expect them to deliver what they say they're going to deliver. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what bothered me so much about it, is like, and then it may be a history of us getting burned, or not us, but like generally lawyers getting burned by it. That maybe that is why. Maybe I've been brainwashed to think that we're just difficult clients, and maybe we're not. I don't know. Maybe we're not. You have now how many years of experience with the Guild? How long?
Well, we launched that in 2020.
Okay, so 4 years.
Yeah.
You've dealt with a bunch of lawyers.
Yeah.
Do you find, like, my thinking was that maybe that we are just lawyers that were difficult to deal with. Have you found that?
No.
Okay. Well,
not at all.
then, or maybe the Guild just, maybe it's a special breed. I don't know. And I do find that they kind of are. They think a little bit differently
in the way that they are. I feel like, and I don't know if they use this terminology themselves, but I identify them as legal entrepreneurs, where I think that other people, maybe even the people who target them, just think of them as lawyers. And I think that those are two different people.
I think we should start using legal entrepreneurs. I like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so we're not going to use law firm owners, legal entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Okay, this is an exclusive. Okay,
yeah.
Good. So I mean, maybe I'm wrong with it. When I said that, it's one of those things like, maybe, who knows what my mindset was at the time. I will say, when I said that, that was whenever I was dealing with that one vendor that I had paid a lot of money up front, that had told us, like, we sat, and I talked about this in the Guild show. So if anyone that's in the Guild, you can skip forward about 30 seconds. But we sat, Kashif and I, we sat and talked to them. We went through all of our requirements. We not only sat with their salespeople, because we ran it by the salespeople. They said, well, we need to talk to the dev department. And then we sat down with the dev department, and we went through everything, told them all of our specifications. We were very clear about it. And then we pay them up front. And like up front, and that's a mistake. From now on, I will not do that. I'm not going to pay you for an entire year up front. Yeah. That's just that was a bad move. But I got a better deal. That's why I did it. And then they come to us a month later and say, well, we can't do any of this stuff, and we're not giving your money back. It's like, okay. And I said who it was. If you want to join the Guild, you'd find out who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to, I won't go that far. I just, it's very frustrating. And the person that posted this, we're not going to mention who posted it, but like that, it seems to be a common thing based on what comments we get in the big group.
There were a lot of comments on this post in the Guild that I had just read. And they were all, yes, I have been through that. Yes, I've had the same thing. Yes, I have done that multiple times. Someone said that they have sued to get their money back on numerous occasions. And like I said, there has to be something different here. You answered a question that I was going to ask. I was actually going to ask you, because other members are saying this too, why are you guys paying so much up front? But you had said that what they're doing is they're offering you a better deal. So is that a situation where they're saying, hey, you can pay us month to month, it would have been X amount, or you can pay us for the first year and we're giving you a 10% discount? Is that what happened?
I don't think so with that company. I actually don't think there was ever the option of paying month to month. And I don't know. There could be a variety of reasons. They may offer a month-to-month option. I'm sure, actually, knowing that company, they probably do.
Yeah.
But I do know, based on what other people pay in that service per month, or for the year that they pay, that I did get a much better deal. I mean, I got a much better deal, and it could have been because of my position with Maxwell too. I don't know, but I know I got a pretty good deal generally. But
it theoretically would have been a good deal.
Yeah.
And then it ultimately was just.
Yeah. And no, undoubtedly, I could obviously sue to get that money back. I just don't have the bandwidth for that. I just don't really care that much about it to do that. So yeah.
Have you ever thought through the mindset of these other business owners who are vendors serving legal entrepreneurs, where it's a lot harder to get the new sale, right? We all know that in any business. It doesn't matter what it is. So why do you think they put so much time and effort into just getting that first sale instead of just getting someone in and then wowing them and keeping them? And then they could have got, if you would have paid them the one-time fee, was there ongoing fees that you would have been paying them?
Okay, so to your first point,
yes,
I think they do it because they charge us so much more than they would a non-lawyer. Like if this were, I mean, I'll use.
Do they serve non-lawyers as well, or do they just?
No.
Are you the ideal client?
I think that we're the ideal client, right, and they can get away with it because they know we'll pay it. Let's use Zoho as an example.
Okay.
Look at Zoho's pricing versus, let's say, any other case management system on the market. I'll use Clio to pick on Clio because they're the biggest. Okay. Not that Clio has a bad product. I'm just saying you just compare the two. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, Zoho, what they offer, it is way more. They offer way more than what Clio does when it comes to their product. But they're a fraction of what Clio charges. And it's because they can get away with charging lawyers more money.
And Zoho does not advertise just to...
No.
Got it. Yeah. So that's the difference there.
And their CEO is someone that wants to make it available to the masses. And that's part of the reason why they really believe in small businesses. They really want to take care of them. And that's why they do it. Now, there is a cost to that. And I was talking to Scott Rose about this the other day. There is a cost because with Zoho, when they roll out a new feature sometimes, or if they roll out a new software, there is kind of an understanding that you're pretty much in beta testing, even though they've released it, and they will improve it and they'll get it to a really great product. But sometimes there is some lag time when it comes to that. So that's sort of the trade-off. But honestly, I would rather have that than getting gouged all the freaking time when it comes to the monthly cost. And like, that's across the board. That's on everything. That's books. Like there is, and I won't pick on any of the books, but you name the book that was written by a lawyer on like trial skills or anything. Yeah. It's $150. You know what I mean? Like if it's a non-lawyer, that's a $20, $30 book. Right. Things like that.
Okay. When you decided to go with Zoho, is this the first time that you've gone with like a software that wasn't marketed specifically to you? How did you find a software? I feel like our people typically are looking for softwares, services, different things that are marketed directly to them and only, specialized, because then they'll feel like, they specialize in us, they know us better, they're going to serve us better. But you found something that wasn't targeted to you and you were comfortable enough to commit to it, even though you knew it wasn't specific to your industry.
I'd say three things. So one is we met with a couple of companies about building something. We had all of our things that we needed, and we got halfway through the list of needs, and the first vendor said, they stopped me there. I'm glad they did. They said, listen, the features that you want right now, and by the way, like we were halfway, like it was not, the list was pretty long. We're about $250,000. Should we keep talking or should we kind of stop? And I said, I think we should stop, because I wasn't willing to put that much money into a product that I wasn't going to sell. Like this wasn't something I was going to, So I was like, okay. So we did it a couple times. It was cost prohibitive. And then I started searching for options, and I didn't look for like case management systems. I just looked for, I was just like searching for like CRMs just to see what would come up, and maybe even project management softwares, all that. I don't remember what I Googled exactly, but I stumbled on Zoho. I had heard about Zoho CRM. I had heard about Zoho Social, but I never looked into them. And then I was looking into it, and I happened to mention it to Kelsey Bratcher.
Okay.
And Kelsey said, "You're kidding me." I said, "No." He goes, "Well, I've always thought like Zoho is amazing, and I would love to build a I one of my things that he's always wanted to do was like he wanted to build a company on Zoho because it's a great platform. This is not a podcast about Zoho, not at all. We don't get paid by Zoho. There's no affiliate marketing, nothing like that. But I was like, oh, that's fast. So then I was like, okay, now I'm like gonna really dig into it, and they offer a ton. Now you got to know when you get into Zoho, it's like there's so much to it that you have to like not try to dive into everything at one time. You pick one area, but that's another story. So that's how I found it. It was I just kind of stumbled on it.
Do you feel like you're more open now when looking for services to finding companies that aren't specifically advertising that they're helping law firms, or do you feel more comfortable still going with the companies that advertise to you specifically?
I'm okay with outside. I know that Jim and I, we like when the guild, one of our things that we talked about was like picking something specifically for lawyers. Mm-hmm. And my opinion's changed on that. Okay. I think that opinion was shaped off of our experience with Infusionsoft, which we really liked Infusionsoft, but because it wasn't specifically made for lawyers, it made it difficult at times to make it work. And there were some limitations with Infusionsoft, and then the whole way Infusionsoft went and changed their name, and there's a lot of mistakes that they'd made. But I think it was colored by that. That's what it was.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about contracts a little bit? Dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah. What do you want to know about it? I do have thoughts, but I want to know what your thoughts are.
Mine were more general. I was just going to, obviously we bring this up a lot. A company that we work with a lot of our events is Rise Up, and they're known for not having any contracts. And I think that's worked out really well in our community for them. And I'm just wondering, again, it does relate to what we talked about earlier, but why aren't more companies going this way? I truly feel like they're behind. I feel like the vendors that serve law firm owners are behind in not switching to this model, and they're just hanging on for dear life to the contract model, acting like it's an industry norm, and I don't think it needs to be.
There will be a lot of pushback in the legal industry before it does shift, because you have a company like Case Text, which I loved. It was purchased by one of the big companies, legal research companies, and they've ruined that product. And they're a yearly contract or 2-3 year. I think we got contacted by them, and they're notorious for sending emails out, and it was like, you can get this rate for 2 years, you can get this rate for 3-year contract. Okay. And so they will push back. I was talking to someone. I guess I don't know if I should mention who it is, but their thinking is that the whole idea was to buy it and then burn it to the ground so that they have one less competitor.
That's what happened with Case Text, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and I do agree.
That happens.
I
Absolutely
tend to agree with them.
Yeah.
It's not the product that it was. It was good, but they had specifically, like the legal research part of it's the same. It's the co-counsel, the AI component that they've ruined, because they have to, you now have to link it to Westlaw and all that. I guess I mentioned the company, so now whatever. But that is where it is. It's a bit frustrating. So there will be pushback. The reason, I think it's just been a standard norm because we were willing to do it. And they're like, if you use the legal research companies, like as an example, Westlaw and LexisNexis were the two in the game. Like that was it. There were others, but there were really no others. Yeah. Those were the two. Yeah. And if you wanted to do legal research, you went through one of those two. Yeah.
We use Lexis at the sheriff's office. Yeah. That's the only one that we used.
Yeah. So you're really limited to those. And like from a practical standpoint, there's some others that are like, okay, but if you really want to be able to do legit legal research, that's what you do. Now AI has changed that quite a bit, which that will soften it quite a bit. Like Paxton AI, again, no sponsorship, nothing like that. They're great. Like it is better than co-counsel was, which is good. So I'm thankful to a certain point, but they're month to month. They are not a long-term contract. Their fees are pretty reasonable. So I just think it's something that we've been so used to doing for so long and putting up with it. I think it's part of it.
Yeah, I think my thoughts on this are I think that for our people, I think it is time to create that resistance. And I think that we, meaning you guys as business owners, like you actually have to take the action on it, question
Yeah.
it, ask for a better deal. I think that that's what's going to happen to change it.
And you had a really good idea that came from this conversation, which we can't talk about yet.
Correct.
So we got to kind of tiptoe around this.
Let's do that.
But you do have a great solution to this that we're working on.
We have a solution that's going to help with this issue.
Yeah.
That does not exist yet.
No.
In this industry.
No, which is pretty cool. And it's one of those things, like I told you, is like one of the most, I don't know if it was the most exciting or it's either the most exciting or one of the most exciting things that we've talked about.
I agree.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, have you seen, I'm guessing like doctors and accountants, they probably get gouged too, to a certain point.
Oh, absolutely. I also think now that we're comparing to those two other industries too, I think another thing is time. I think that they use that, people want to get the fix and get it fast. And instead of taking the time to really think through the contracts or what the monthly cost is, they're like, if you're claiming you can solve my problem, let's just do that and do it today. Maybe we just need to slow down a little bit. Because I envision doctors being the same way.
Yeah.
Very, very busy people and not enough time to really vet what they're signing up for.
And I do think that there are times where you have to pay a little bit more upfront. I do think that is, like, I'll use like SEO companies where dealing with a personal injury firm, which it's a highly competitive market where they've got to do a bunch of build out front. Or let's say it's even a software company like Yossier's. Yossier's, you got to pay $1,000 or $2,000 up front because they have to do a build out for your specific software for requesting medical records. I'm 100% okay with something like that. I have no problem whatsoever paying something like that because there's some sort of they've on their end had to expend some sort of resource, whether that's time or money, whatever it may be. But I'm really talking about we're talking about the ones that are like, they tell you they're going to do something, you pay them for that thing, and then they don't deliver on it. That is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And I think that the idea that you came up is going to make that less likely in the future. I
completely agree. It's definitely going to create a lot more accountability, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I like that. Any tips because I will say you're pretty good about like negotiating with vendors and stuff. Any tips for people for like dealing with vendors? I think that would be pretty helpful.
I mean, the thing that I just mentioned with time is that you just have to know that you're committing the time it takes to do the communications and figure out what works best for you. I think that's another thing though. How often do you think that law firm owners like you are even negotiating? Or do you think that they're told, this is our package and this is our price and this is what you can have it for? Do you think they're even asking the questions?
I don't. So knowing that they have that ability is, I think that's, now I was lucky enough to be in a position early on where I worked for a firm where I don't know why he let me do this. I have zero idea, but it was great because he let me sit in the room with some of these negotiations, and he was really good at it. About like they would say, and like I would blush like the numbers he would propose versus like what they said that they were charging for it, and like
that's my style.
Yeah,
I like this a lot.
And I was like, wow, you can do this? Like, I didn't know that growing up. I'm thinking like, wow, this is a great lesson. Like, I remember there was a time where it comes to billboards. So I worked for a volume firm, and they have these contracts for billboards and stuff. Yes. And so they come in, it was time, they had some new signs available is what it was. And he said, I want you to, so I already said in a couple of meetings, and this one he wanted me to go in and said, tell them what he was willing to pay.
Yeah.
And he had the check written out. That was another little trick too. You write the check out in advance.
Yeah.
And so I met with the guy, and he's like, well, we can't do that. And I was thinking like, okay. And so I went and told my boss, and he comes in, and I'm talking, it's like a fraction of what it was, but he was willing to pay the full year up front, which I thought was another good lesson. At his price, which I thought was another good lesson.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and he just says, and because I think that the guy thought that I was trying to get the firm a better deal, but I really didn't have final authority.
Yeah.
And so boss comes in and says, no, this is what we're paying.
Yeah.
And I mean, otherwise we're not paying anything. Yeah. The guy like within seconds is, okay, we'll do it. I'm thinking like, so like, okay, now I understand this game a little bit more. So yeah, I think that is important, understanding that you can actually say, no, not paying that, and be willing to walk. Like that's something I've seen.
Yes.
Like you're willing
There
to
are
walk.
other options.
Yeah.
You can walk.
No matter how much you want it, you're like,
And that's from a business standpoint and from a consumer standpoint. It doesn't matter if this would be more convenient or faster. You can always walk, and there's always another option.
what? I'm assuming you do this in your personal life.
I do.
How does Jeremy feel about this?
Great.
Oh, okay. So
I save us money. That's fantastic.
Does he ever blush whenever you're like offering some far lesser amount?
Oh, okay. So no, I'm not. I should probably clarify here. And this does have to do more with things that we pay recurring services to. I want to be very clear. I love like shopping local, things like this. I'm never walking into my local coffee shop and asking for a discount on like my drink or anything like that. I think that they deserve the price that they're asking for.
So you don't do that?
No, absolutely not.
I don't either. Okay, good. Yeah.
This is actually things that you pay for on a recurring basis, like internet, streaming services, the satellite radio and vehicles. All of those things are negotiable. And these companies are just so big that I think that it's a very valid ask. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to do something for you.
Yeah, especially satellite radio. I mean, Jesus, that number's never like set in stone. Like that's always negotiable.
I can't believe what they attempt to charge. But a lot of people do. They're like,
That's why they do
that's
it.
the number?
That's why they do it.
Sure thing.
It's a good lesson on the other
If you have
side.
not negotiated your Sirius XM subscription, I will tell you I am paying 25% of what you are paying.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, at most.
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy with that. It's a good lesson on the other side for lawyers, like actually like ask for more. People, you might end up, I mean, if you want to get into that game of negotiating, that's fine too. Like we don't, like we just don't want to play that game, but like we do, our fees are a little bit higher than most injury firms because we like our bottom is 35%, not a third. So we, but like it is a good lesson though. Like ask for it, and if you have to adjust it, then adjust it. But I think that is good. It's a really good lesson. And what's the worst thing that's going to happen? They're going to say no.
Correct.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, it's funny you say about the small businesses. There was when we bought our Ford Lightning. I had to put in a charger. I didn't have to, but I wanted a fast charger in the garage.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's kind of worthless. I'm not going to go charge it at a
Target.
Yeah, exactly.
Target
yeah, I'm not going to do that. And although the Target closest to us is they only have Rivian chargers, and that's a little annoying.
Yeah.
Stephen Lefkoff loves his Rivian, but I don't have a Rivian. I've got a Lightning.
Yeah.
But this guy was charged. He was going to charge it was like $2,000 or something to install it. And he's like a small electrician in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I really wanted him to put it in. I was going to pay him more money than like the bigger competitor in town, and he just would not get back to me. It would not, and I'm like, I was like, I am ready. I actually sent him text messages like, hey, I'm ready to give you a check. How do I give? And like, no, nothing. And he finally left me a voicemail 1 month after I finally had it installed. I'm like, dude, it's too late, man. Like, so I'm not going to negotiate, but I'm also going to I'm not going to be super. I'll be patient, but not like super patient. You know, I want to hire local, all that kind of stuff too. Yep. But I think it's important.
I agree with that, but it's a balance between. But this is what I need for my family, and I need it. I can't wait 3 more months. So you tried, and that's really what matters.
You know, didn't there part of this too though? It's another lesson with like legal entrepreneurs. I'll start using that term.
Yeah,
is like following through with what you say you're going to do. That's part of it too. And if you are going to charge a premium fee to like actually do the things you say,
100%, because that's what we want from the vendors that serve our legal entrepreneurs. So we have to do the same thing.